I talk to myself a lot, and really like all the videos that I make come from me just like talking to myself. And I find very often that God will talk like through me during those times and really kind of just give me the message and kind of plant those thoughts in my head and plant those ideas in my head to make like these videos. The other week when I was like really like kind of like struggling with my doubt, my faith, and like just really like trusting God, I started kind of like, trying to figure out what that means and how I can like improve on that. At some point in time, I got hungry. And so I went downstairs to go get lunch, and I was walking down to my car, down the staircase of like my apartment complex, and there was a book at the bottom of the staircase. This is Steps to Christ. And I looked at it and I was like, that sounds so familiar. And I picked it up anyway because, I don't know, it was just like calling out to me. So I opened it up and I saw the author, Ellen G. White, and I immediately knew who that was. If you don't know who Ellen G. White is, she's a very famous author. She is so popular to the point that like I seen people like pastors have to like make an emphasis that like Ellen G. White is not Jesus, because I think there are some people who will like really like take like her books and just kind of like prioritize that over like the Bible, and it gets pretty bad. But I personally believe she's very knowledgeable. When you use her work as like a supplement or like a guide to kind of aid in your walk with God, it becomes really helpful. On the first page also, there was like a stamp that was like, it says like from your Uber driver. I think that someone was getting dropped off and the Uber driver gave it to them and they didn't want to read it, so they just left it down there, and it ended up in my hands, so no complaints. But when I did pick it up and I went to my car and I sat down there for a couple minutes and I opened it up, I went to the table of contents. The very first thing that jumped out at me was the chapter titled What to Do with Doubt. Immediately, I turned to it and I'm like, wow, there's no way this is happening. And I want to just read you a portion of that, just at the very beginning of that chapter, that really touched me. God never asks us to believe without giving sufficient evidence upon which to base our faith. His existence, his character, the truthfulness of his word are all established by testimony that appeals to our reason. And this testimony is abundant. Yet God has never removed the possibility of doubt. Our faith must rest upon evidence, not demonstration. Those who wish to doubt will have the opportunity, while those who really desire to know the truth will find plenty of evidence on which to rest their faith. Oh, I read that and I was just like blown away. God will never tell you like, just trust me, bro. Like God will always give you plenty of opportunity. God will always give you plenty of evidence to like prove like that you can trust him. And all you have to do is just allow him to. All you have to do is like seek that truth, and he will genuinely like show you who he is and show you that you can trust him. The thing is, even though that like God has done so much, like God has already proven like himself to me, I still have doubts. I still have days that like I just kind of struggle. I have days that I fear, days that I worry, days that like I just feel anxious. It just becomes so hard to like fully commit and fully have faith. I have a prayer request that's been in my heart for the past few weeks, and it's one of those prayer requests that's so huge. It's probably like the biggest thing that I've ever prayed for in my life. It's gonna take like a miracle for that to happen, and it's been so hard to like really like trust in God. It's not gonna be up to me that makes it happen. It's not gonna be because of anybody else that it happens, but God, and he has proven to me plenty like throughout my whole life. Like my whole life is a living testimony of what God can do for you. And just recently, over like these past few like weeks, and how like much I've been blessed and how closer I've drawn to God, I have ample evidence. But man, this is just like such a like heavy request. I still doubt, I still worry, I still feel rough on some of these days, and it's been a struggle to like really let go and really just allow him to do what he does. And that really made me think of a really good analogy. You know how those like Tesla cars have like the self-driving features on them? And I've never driven a Tesla, but I know that like if I hop in there and like I gotta let the car drive, I'm gonna be like hesitant, I'm gonna be like, whoa, every time like I get on the freeway, I'm merging, I'm gonna reach for the wheel to kind of like try to take control. But there's some people who have like driven like a Tesla for so long and have used that feature for so long that they trust it. So much so to the point that they could like fall asleep behind the wheel and trust that it will get them home. I don't know if you can even do that. I think it like makes you stay awake or something. But like there's people who like fully trust, like allow the Tesla to just like take full control. And a relationship with God can look like that sometimes, especially when you're starting off, especially when you're first getting going. You've lived your whole life driving. You lived your whole life in the driver's seat of the metaphorical car of life. And when you give your life to God, you're letting him take full, you're sitting in the passenger seat. You're letting him take full control over the car. You're letting him take full control over your life. And that can be such a challenge. Someone who has driven like that Tesla for years, they have all this evidence, years of evidence that the Tesla will get them home safely. But when you're like just starting out, like there's nothing for you to go off of, and you just really have to ease your way into it, ease your way into trusting God and allowing him to really take control of your life. So like I said, those people who have the most trust in their Tesla, like autopiloting and getting them home safely, they have like years of like evidence, years of like that trust built. I want you to imagine your calendar, right? January through December. Throughout the year, there's many different seasons. You know, you can associate like, depending on where you live in the world, you can associate like April, May with like spring, and then June, July, summer, and so on and so forth up until like December being winter. And during those like seasons, you can step outside and it'll like be pretty consistent, right? Imagine one day you step outside in the middle of June and it's freezing outside. Your first thought isn't going to be, is my calendar wrong? You're not going to look at your phone and be like, what's going on with my phone? It's not June. You're not going to question whether it's June or not, because you know that that calendar is a fact. It might feel cold. It might feel a certain way that you don't expect it to feel, but you know ultimately that it is still June. You know that it is still summer, because that one day that it feels cold, the next day it'll feel like how it's supposed to. It'll feel much better. And that's what like a relationship with God really does look like. Really having trust when you don't feel the best. Sometimes you'll feel anxiety. Sometimes you'll feel like pain. Sometimes it'll feel not so good, right? You'll feel so awful. But having trust in God is knowing that, hey, he is still like working for my good. Ultimately, I know that God wants me to prosper and he's working behind the scenes for my good. When you have like years of like God showing up for you, it's super easy to trust, right? The same way like you've lived all this time on earth and you've witnessed the seasons, you've witnessed what the temperature is supposed to be like at a certain time of year. So when you step outside and it's not that temperature, it feels a different way, you don't lose trust. You know that the calendar is still fact. The same way that as someone who has been walking with God for so many years and he's come through for them so many times, they don't lose faith when they have these feelings. God understands that as a human being, you're gonna feel emotions. You're gonna feel bad, you're gonna feel anxious, you're gonna have doubts, especially when you're starting off, like you're just starting your relationship with God and you don't have like extensive evidence. You don't have years of that evidence that you can use as trust, you know? And as Ellen G. White says, God will always give you the evidence. You allow him to like prove himself and he will show himself. He will like show you why that you can trust him. Another way to look at it, and this is like one of my favorite ways to kind of like break down what trust and faith looks like, is to compare your relationship with God to a relationship with like a partner or like a significant other. The same way that you allow God to like show himself like to you, you allow your partner to build that trust as well. Like trust has to be built, right? Like in these relationships that you have, like ultimately you end up trusting the person because they give you evidence to do so, right? Imagine if your boyfriend's like, hey, I'm gonna go to the club tonight with like some of my boys. To each their own. Like I'm not condoning going to the club, nothing of that nature, but I'm just kind of giving this example. So imagine he asks, he's like, I'm going to the club with my boys, and you're like, oh yeah, perfectly okay, because you have that trust in him. And it's gonna look delusional to your friends. Your friends are gonna be like, girl, are you letting your man like go to the club like that? Like, girl, like you're crazy. And people are gonna look at you like how do you have that much trust? Because he has proven that he can be trustworthy, right? That didn't just come out of nowhere. Like I can imagine the first time that boyfriend was probably like, I'm gonna go to the club with my boys. You were probably like questioning like, oh wow, this is, I don't know about this, you know? You were kind of questioning it. You were kind of doubting it, especially because it's so early on. But as time went on, like he was able to prove himself as someone who like can be trusted, someone who won't break that trust, right? And now what looks like delusion to other people is just strong trust within your relationship. And that's what, and when you have that strong trust in God, that strong trust to like just allow him to take control over your life, it's gonna look like delusion to other people. Other people are gonna like ask like, how do you have like this much faith? Like, how do you like just give all your worries, all your doubts just away and like just kind of like just like not worry about it? It's just trust, it's just faith. You know, I have evidence to like back it up. I reached this point because that trust was built from that evidence. At first it was hard, right? And that's the beautiful part that God understands. If you're very early on with your walk with God, he understands how difficult it is to give up that control, how difficult it is to place your trust in him, and he will give you ample evidence. All you have to do is allow him. I love like the expression how if you take one step towards God, he will take a million right to you. He will meet you where you are. God does not make you do the most. God does not like make you like go through a set of principles, any type of procedure in order for him to start working in your life. Like he will make himself present, make himself evident when you allow him to. All you have to do is just reach out to him. You don't even have to take a step. Just simply reaching out and giving him a chance, he will blow your expectations out of the water. I love the expression also, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. God does not ask you to give full control. Like he does not ask you to like declare Christ as Lord before he can be evident within your life. A small gesture, little by little, build that faith up, like small things here and there, and your faith will grow. Your trust will grow. You don't have to commit to anything. You don't have to sign no like documents or nothing. You don't have to like start your relationship with God just yet. All you have to do is just open up to him. Seek the truth, and I promise you that he will come through for you. Sometimes we see like within relationships like here on earth, like with your partner or with your like significant other, where that trust can be broken. When that happens, it's so jarring that it carries on like with you onto your next relationships. That emotional baggage, that trauma, they call it like trust issues in today's society, where it makes it really hard for you to like trust like the next like person who you're in a relationship with, and that's completely reasonable. You know, it's not their fault. You know, it's kind of like something that you just carry within yourself, and God understands this. Baby steps. He will guide you through. He will build that trust up with you. He will give you evidence beyond like your comprehension. He will move mountains for you, and that's the beauty of God's love. That's the beauty of God's trust, that it will never ever be broken. There won't be like any type of, you don't have to worry about any like trauma, any emotional turmoil that will come with trusting God. God will never turn his back on you. He will never betray that trust. His word is true. That the same way that you have trusted the calendar for the past however many years you've been on this earth, and you will continue to do so, God's word, God's love, God's grace, God's mercy, God's trust, God will never ever break that trust. Thank you so much for tuning in. The whole point of this channel is to guide you during your walk with God, and especially if you're early on like I am, I just kind of want to give my perspective, give kind of what I've learned, what I've felt that God has placed in my heart, and share that with you, because it's not easy. There's so many obstacles, so many speed bumps on the road, on the path, on the walk with God. Sometimes it becomes so easy to lose that faith. It's okay to feel down some days. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel doubt. It's really all about persevering and just allowing him to show himself to you. I promise you, pray to him, reach out to him, and he will make himself evident.